You're at a family dinner, the kind where the wine flows and the egos clash harder than the silverware. Your aunt, that polished, pearl-clutching queen of condescension, leans in with her signature smirk, her voice dripping like honeyed venom. "Oh, honey," she says, loud enough for the whole table to hear. "Don't worry about the dishes. He's just the help. Except, I'm not a he, and I'm not the help." My heart's pounding like a war drum in my chest, cheeks burning hotter than the candlelight flickering across her smug face. But I bite my tongue, force a smile that feels like shattered glass in my mouth. Because in 3 hours, her entire world, her precious career, her inflated ego, is about to crumble like a house of cards in a hurricane. And the best part? The man walking through that door shaking my hand? He's her boss, her CEO, and he's here for me. Stick around, because this isn't just revenge. It's the kind of justice that tastes sweeter than forbidden fruit. If you've ever been sized up, dismissed, or straight up trampled by someone who thinks they're better than you, family or not, then this one's for you. That fire in your gut? The one screaming for a comeback that hits like a freight train? Hit that like button right now, smash subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because today, we're diving into one of the most deliciously satisfying Reddit revenge tales that'll leave you cheering from your couch. Let's get into it. My name's Elena. At least that's what I'll go by here. Back then, I was 28, fresh out of the grind of bootstrapping my own tech, startup in the cutthroat world of Silicon Valley knockoffs. Picture me, 5'4" in heels that pinched like a bad memory, dark curls always escaping their bun like they had a mind of their own, and eyes that my mom swore could sparkle with trouble. I'd poured every ounce of my soul and a mountain of ramen-fueled all-nighters into building an AI platform that predicted market trends with eerie accuracy. It wasn't just code. It was my rebellion against a family that had written me off years ago. See, my family? We're the kind where success is measured in square footage and status symbols. My aunt, Victoria, oh God, where to even start with her? She's the villain in every holiday photo. The one with the razor-sharp bob, lips painted blood red, and a laugh that slices through conversations like a guillotine. At 45, she was the undisputed queen of our clan, VP of sales at a mid-tier consulting firm, married to a dentist who spent more on golf clubs than family therapy. Victoria didn't just climb the ladder. She kicked everyone else off on her way up. And me, I was the black sheep. The artsy dreamer who dropped out of a real degree to chase this silly app. Thing. That's what she called it. Anyway, her voice always lilting with that fake sympathy. Like she was petting a stray dog. It started small, the jabs. Back when I was 22, fresh-faced and broke, crashing at family gatherings after my folks cut me off for wasting my potential. I'd show up in thrift store jeans, laptop in tow, scribbling code on napkins while they gossiped about stock portfolios. Victoria would glide in, all Chanel and confidence, and pat my head like I was 5. "Elena, darling, why don't you come work for me? Fetch coffee? Answer phones. Something practical until you grow up." The table would chuckle, forks clinking against plates like tiny applause for her wit. I'd feel it then, that familiar twist in my gut, a hot coil of shame wrapping tighter, squeezing until I could barely breathe. My palms would sweat, slick against the edge of the tablecloth, and I'd mumble something about figuring it out, forcing my lips into a curve that never reached my eyes. Inside, a storm raged. Why me? What did I do to deserve this? Am I really that invisible? But I swallowed it. Every time. Because Victoria wasn't just family. She was the gatekeeper. The one who whispered in my parents' ears, convincing them I was a lost cause. "She's got her head in the clouds," she'd say over Easter brunch, her fork spearing a ham slice with surgical precision. "Needs to face reality." My dad would nod, eyes distant behind his glasses, and my mom would sigh, squeezing my hand under the table like an apology she couldn't voice. It stung worse than a slap. That quiet complicity. The way they'd let her rewrite my story. Powerless, that's the word that echoed in my skull at night, staring at the ceiling cracks in my shoebox apartment. Powerless against her words, her world, her way of making me feel like I was born 3 sizes too small for my own skin. Fast forward 6 years. My silly app isn't so silly anymore. It's Echo Predict, a beast of an algorithm that's saved Fortune 500 companies millions by sniffing out economic shifts before the headlines do. We just closed a Series B round, 8 figures, baby. Investors calling me visionary, boardrooms buzzing with my name. I had a corner office now, glass walls overlooking the bay, a team of 20 engineers who high-fived me in the halls. But you know what? Success like that? It doesn't heal old wounds. It just sharpens them. Every milestone felt like a middle finger to the rearview mirror, to Victoria's smirks and my family's shrugs. Look at me now, I'd think, scrolling through old texts from her. Sweetie, real jobs have paychecks. XO. The craving gnawed deeper. Not just validation, but justice. The kind that leaves scorch marks. Then came the wedding. My cousin Lila's, Victoria's daughter, the golden child. A lavish affair at the family estate in the hills. All white tents and string lights twinkling like false promises. I flew in from the bay, traded my hoodies for a sleek black sheath dress that hugged my curves just right. Heels clicking with purpose on the marble foyer floor. Mom hugged me tight at the airport, whispering, "We're so proud." But her eyes darted nervous, like she was bracing for Victoria's storm. Dad clapped my shoulder, mumbling about the weather. No questions about the company. No, how's the startup? Just that old aching silence. The rehearsal dinner was the spark, held in the grand dining hall. Crystal chandeliers dripping light like molten gold. Mahogany table groaning under silver platters of seared scallops and truffle risotto. 50 relatives crammed in, laughter bubbling like champagne. I sat midway down, wedged between Uncle Ted, who snored through toasts, and a distant cousin, obsessed with crypto scams. Victoria held court at the head, resplendent in emerald silk, her laugh a whip crack that silenced side conversations. She spotted me across the candles, her eyes narrowing like a cat sighting prey. "Elena, over here, dear." Her wave was languid, jewels flashing on her wrist. I wove through chairs, stomach knotting tighter with each step. The air smelled of rosemary and old money, thick enough to choke on. Up close, her perfume hit me. Sharp citrus, overpowering, like her presence. "Tell us," she purred, glass of Pinot Noir swirling in her manicured grip. "What's keeping you so busy these days? Still playing with those little computer games?" The table leaned in, forks pausing midair. My pulse thrummed in my temples, a frantic Morse code. Don't rise. Don't give her the satisfaction. I forced a breath, the cool edge of my water glass grounding me against my palm. "Actually, Aunt Vic, we're scaling up. Big clients, international rollout next quarter." My voice came out steady, but inside, a whirlwind. "Please just once see me. See what I've built." She tilted her head, lips pursing in that pity smile she patented years ago. "Oh, that's quaint. But really, Elena, at your age, you should be settling down, not fiddling with gadgets. Lila here's about to lock in a merger with her firm. Proper work, you know." Lila beamed beside her, all bridal glow and LinkedIn polish. The table murmured agreement, a low hum that vibrated through my bones like Judgment Day. Heat crawled up my neck, my fingers curling into fists under the tablecloth, nails biting crescents into my palms. Quaint, like I'm a hobbyist baking cookies, not running a multi-million-dollar operation. Betrayal bloomed fresh, not just from her, but from the nods around the table, the way no one pushed back. Powerlessness crashed over me again, heavier this time, laced with the bitter tang of 6 years' resentment. I excused myself early, slipping out to the terrace where the night air slapped cool against my flushed skin. Stars blinked overhead, indifferent witnesses. One day, I vowed silently, fists clenched against the stone balustrade. One day you'll choke on those words. But the real inferno ignited the next night, the dinner proper, post-ceremony. The estate's ballroom had been transformed. Ivory drapes cascading like waterfalls. A jazz quartet murmuring saxophone sighs in the corner. Lila in lace and bliss, toasting with her new husband. Under a floral arch that cost more than my first year's rent. I mingled in my element now. Heels traded for flats that let me breathe. A flute of sparkling water fizzing against my thumb as I chatted with distant aunts about sustainable tech. For a fleeting hour, it felt good. Almost normal. My phone buzzed in my clutch. A text from my CTO. All set for tomorrow? Boardroom's primed. CEO's flying in personally tomorrow. The presentation? The one that could catapult Echo Predict into unicorn territory. A demo for Helix Partners, Victoria's firm. Irony? It tasted like rust on my tongue. I'd pitched it months ago, blind to the connection. Helix needed our AI to overhaul their predictive analytics. Their board had begged for a slot. And now, here I was, in the belly of the beast, about to hand them the keys to my kingdom. Or so they thought. Victoria cornered me near the dessert cart, towers of creme brulee, crackling under spoons like fragile egos. She'd had a few glasses too many. Her cheeks flushed rose, voice slurring just enough to loosen her filter. Elena, there you are. Hiding again? She looped an arm through mine, steering me toward a cluster of her work colleagues. Suits and power ties, clustered like wolves in sheep's clothing. My skin crawled under her grip, the silk of her sleeve brushing mine like sandpaper. Everyone, this is my niece. She's between things. Helps out at events sometimes. You know, the help. The word landed like a slap, casual, cutting. Her colleagues chuckled, a low rumble that echoed in my ears. One man, balding and bourbon-scented, clapped my shoulder. Good on ya, kid. Steady gig's better than starving artist. My throat tightened. A vice of humiliation squeezing until tears pricked hot behind my eyes. The help. After everything, the code I'd bled for, the doors I'd kicked open, reduced to a server in sensible shoes. The room spun a fraction, the quartet's bass thrumming in sync with my hammering heart. I could feel the stares, the pitying glances from family across the floor. Inside, the storm broke. You venomous witch. You don't even know? Tomorrow I'm the one they'll beg. But aloud? Yeah, something like that. My smile was a rictus. Teeth gritted so hard my jaw ached. She released me with a pat, turning back to her pack, already dismissing me like lint from her lapel. I retreated to the powder room, the door clicking shut like a vault. Mirror Elena stared back, eyes wide and wild, lipstick smudged from the fury I couldn't unleash. My hands trembled as I gripped the marble sink, knuckles whitening. Water rushed cold over my wrists, but it did nothing for the firestorm in my chest. Enough. The word echoed. A thunderclap. Enough swallowing her barbs, enough playing small to fit her narrow view. This wasn't just disrespect. It was erasure. She'd spent years chipping away at me, and tonight, she'd swung the hammer. But hammers break too, and mine was about to shatter her pedestal. The resolve settled like armor, cool, unyielding. I straightened my dress, reapplied my lipstick with a stroke that felt like war paint. Tomorrow, I thought, meeting my reflection's gaze, you'll see. No grand plan, no Machiavellian plot, just truth. Raw, unfiltered, the kind that exposes snakes in the garden. The wedding wrapped in a blur of cake and confetti. Guests drifting like smoke. I slipped away early, hailing a car to the city hotel where the Helix demo was set. My suite overlooked the glittering sprawl, lights winking like conspirators. I paced the carpet, plush under my bare feet, rehearsing slides on my laptop. Heart racing, palms damp against the keys. What if they side with her? What if she poisons the well? Doubt whispered, slimy and insistent, but I shoved it down. This wasn't about them. It was about me, reclaiming the space she'd stolen, one bite at a time. Sleep came fitful, dreams tangled with her smirk and shattering glass. Morning broke crisp, November sun slicing through blinds like a scalpel. I suited up, charcoal pantsuit tailored sharp, blouse crisp as fresh resolve, hair pinned back in a no-nonsense twist. Coffee scalded my tongue, grounding me as the car whisked me to Helix's downtown tower. All steel and glass, a monolith of corporate ambition. The lobby hummed, clicks of keyboards, murmur of elevators, the faint ozone whiff of polished ambition. My badge scanned green. Security nodded like I belonged. Because I did. Up on the 42nd floor, the boardroom waited. Walnut table gleaming under recessed lights. Walls lined with abstract. Art that screamed, we're innovative, but expensive. 10 execs milled. VPs in bespoke suits, assistants fluttering with iPads, and there, by the window nursing a latte, Victoria. Her eyes widened a fraction when she saw me, then narrowed to slits. "Elena, what on earth—" "Board meeting," I cut in, voice even, handing my coat to the assistant. "I'm presenting." Her laugh barked out, forced, brittle. "Oh, don't be ridiculous. This is for the AI pitch. Helix's future?" "You wouldn't." She trailed off as the door swung wide. In walked Reginald Thorne, CEO of Helix, silver fox with a handshake like iron and eyes that missed nothing. 6'3" in a navy pinstripe, his presence sucked the air from the room. Whispers died. Chairs scraped as everyone settled. He scanned the table, gaze landing on me. A smile cracked his stern facade, genuine, warm. "Ms. Vasquez." He extended his hand, grip firm and lingering. "Elena, we've been anticipating this. Echo predict could redefine our edge." My pulse steadied. A calm washing over the chaos. "Here we go." Victoria's chair creaked beside me. I felt her stare boring holes, her breath hitching like a caught sob. The presentation kicked off. Projector hummed to life, my slides blooming bold, graphs spiking like heartbeats, demos whirring with predictive magic. I paced the head of the table, voice steady as steel, explaining algorithms in plain strokes, fielding questions with the ease of someone who'd lived this code in her veins. "See here," I said, clicking to a simulation. The room's AC whispering cool against my neck. Our model flagged the 23 dip 2 weeks early. Saved clients 15% on average. Nods rippled. Pen scratched furious notes. Reginald leaned forward, chin on steepled fingers, murmuring, "Brilliant." Victoria fidgeted. I caught it from the corner of my eye, her foot tapping erratic under the table, nails drumming a frantic tattoo on her portfolio. Sweat beaded at her temple, smudging her foundation. Squirm, I thought, a dark thrill uncoiling in my belly. Feel it now. Halfway through, she cracked. "Reginald, this is absurd." "Elena's. She's family, yes, but hardly qualified. I handle our analytics team. Perhaps I should—" He held up a hand, gentle but final. "Victoria, your insights are valued. But Ms. Vasquez here? She's the architect. We've vetted Echo Predict top to bottom. Her firm's valuation. It 50 mil last quarter." The room inhaled sharp. A collective gasp. Chairs shifting like tectonic plates. Victoria's face drained to ash, lips parting on a silent "oh." Her portfolio slipped from numb fingers, pages fanning across the floor like fallen leaves. I paused the slide, the projected graph pulsing frozen behind me, and met her eyes. No smirk now, just wide, glassy shock, pupils dilated like black holes swallowing her pride. "Ma'am," Reginald said, turning to me with that iron handshake extended again. Voice booming warm through the speakers I'd rigged for the demo. "We're ready for your deep dive. The floor's yours." The word "ma'am" hung, a title she'd never earned from him, now bestowed on the help. Her colleagues turned, brows arched, whispers slithering. "Wait, that's her niece? Holy, she built that?" Victoria shrank, shoulders curling inward, her emerald blouse suddenly garish against the pallor of her skin. She mumbled something, an excuse about a call, and bolted. Heels clacking frantic down the hall, door slamming like a guillotine drop. The room erupted then, applause thundering, questions flying like confetti. Reginald pulled me aside after, clapping my shoulder with paternal pride. "Victoria's been pushing for this partnership, but you? You're the real deal. Let's talk terms." I nodded. Throat tight not with anger now, but release. A euphoric rush flooding my veins. Warm as summer rain, justice. Not petty, not cruel. Just truth, served cold and crystalline. Word spread like wildfire through the family chat by noon. Lila's honeymoon texts buzzed in. "Aunt Vic's a mess." "What happened?" Mom called, voice quivering. "Elena, honey, your dad and I, we had no idea." No apology, not yet. But the fracture was there, the pedestal wobbling. "Victoria." Radio silence for weeks. Then a stiff email. "Proud of you. Drink sometime?" I deleted it unread, the click final as a locked door. But let's linger on that boardroom, shall we? Because the real magic, the chills down your spine, fist pump in the air payoff, unfolded in slow motion. Every second stretched taut like a bowstring. Picture it. The projector's glow casting azure shadows across the table. My voice the only anchor in the swelling silence. I'd just wrapped the core demo. The AI's voiceover chiming smooth. Projection, 22% ROI in Q4. Graphs blooming in electric greens and blues. The execs were hooked, leaning in like kids at story time. Reginald's eyes gleaming with that rare CEO hunger. Then Victoria's interruption. Oh, it was poetry and desperation. Her voice cracked on my name, high and brittle, like fine china teetering on the edge. Elena's... She's family, yes, but hardly qualified. The words tumbled out, laced with that old venom, but undercut now by the tremor in her hands. The way her rings caught the light and betrayed her shake. She straightened, chin lifting in a last-ditch bid for authority, pearls straining against her collar like a noose tightening. Pathetic, I thought, but didn't say. No, I let the room do the work. Reginald's pause was glacial. 2 beats. An eternity where you could hear the distant hum of the city below, the faint tick of the wall clock marking her unraveling. His hand rose, palm out, not dismissive but dissecting. Victoria. Her name from his lips, a scalpel, precise. She froze, lips glossy and parted, expecting rescue. Instead, your team's done solid groundwork. But this? He gestured to the screen. To me, the architect in the room. This is next level. Ms. Vasquez's Echo Predict isn't a tool. It's a revolution. We've run the numbers. Her IP alone justifies the acquisition. Acquisition. The word detonated. Gasps rippled outward. The balding VP choking on his coffee. A junior exec's pen clattering to the floor. Victoria's face? A masterpiece of collapse. Color fled in waves, rose cheeks to parchment, lips blanching to near blue. Her eyes, those predator eyes that had hunted my insecurities for years, bulged. Whites veined red, locking on me with a mix of horror and dawning betrayal. How? They screamed silently. You, the dropout? The help? Her chest heaved, shallow and erratic. The emerald silk wrinkling like crumpled foil. Sweat glistened at her hairline. A single droplet tracing her temple, carving a shiny path through her flawless makeup. She gripped the table's edge, knuckles blooming white as bone. Nails, those blood-red talons, scraping faint gouges in the wood. I held her gaze then just for a heartbeat. No triumph gloat, no I told you so, just quiet certainty. My posture unbowed. The faintest curve of my lips, not a smile but acknowledgement. See me now, the coil in my gut unwound, replaced by a flood. Relief crashing cool and cleansing. Triumph blooming warm in my chest like champagne bubbles. My skin tingled, alive with it. The validation I'd starved for, not from her, but from the truth she'd tried to bury. The room blurred at the edges. All I felt was free. She shattered next. A strangled cough, half laugh, half sob, escaped. Her portfolio vaulting from her lap in a flutter of confidential memos scattering, like confetti from hell. I have a call, she stammered, voice a rasp. Chair screeching back as she lurched to her feet. Heels wobbled on the carpet, one buckle catching, nearly toppling her. The door, that heavy oak slab. She yanked it open with a force that rattled the hinges, slamming it behind her with a boom that echoed like thunder. Footsteps clattered down the hall, fading to frantic echoes, then nothing. Silence bloomed, thick and electric. The execs erupted, not mockery, but awe. Did she just... Wait, VP's niece built this? Applause swelled, hands slapping in waves. Reginald's grip on my arm, an anchor of solidarity. Ma'am, he boomed again, pulling me center stage. The title wrapping around me like velvet armor. That was masterful. Let's lock this down. Full integration, your terms. Ma'am. Not dear, not help, ma'am. The word vibrated through me, a balm on old scars, as Victoria's absence hung like a ghost in the room. Humiliated? Utterly. Her empire, her carefully curated facade of superiority, cracked wide open, exposing the hollow core. And me? I exhaled, long and slow, the weight lifting like fog burning off at dawn. Justice wasn't revenge. It was revelation. Her fall wasn't my doing. It was gravity, pulling her back to earth. We sealed the deal that afternoon. Helix acquiring a stake in Echo Predict for $25 million up front. My board seat secured. Victoria? Demoted within the month, whispers of poor judgment trailing her like smoke. Family dinners shifted, awkward silences where her barbs once flew, now met with my quiet facts. Actually, our Q3 beat projections by 18%. Mom's hugs lingered longer. Dad asked about stock options. But the sweetest? That email, months later, from Victoria. Elena, I was wrong, terribly. Can we talk? I framed a screenshot, hung it in my office. Not for hate, but reminder. Underestimation is the sharpest blade. Wield it wisely. Stories like this? They're not just about the gotcha moment. They're reminders that the people who dim your light often fear your shine the most. Karma's got a long memory and justice. It whispers until you're ready to roar. What would you have done in that boardroom? Whew. If Elena's story had you gripping your seat, pumping your fist, or just straight up yelling yes at your screen, smash that like button and drop a comment below. Whew. If Elena's story had you gripping your seat, pumping your fist, or just straight up yelling yes at your screen, smash that like button and drop a comment below. What's the sweetest slice of revenge you've ever tasted or dreamed of? Share it. We might feature it next. And hey, if tales of underdogs rising, egos crashing, and sweet, sweet validation are your jam, hit subscribe and ring that bell. We've got more Reddit gold coming your way. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Stay fierce out there.